we sped this up for expediency. This is what it looks like when it's all ready to go. Now, this is a trick a lot of people don't do, and they end up with bumpy ganache covering, or whatever you're going to be using it for, which we'll go into in just a minute. I take another bowl. Remember I told you I have a lot of these bowls around? Take another bowl and a screen, sifting screen. Put it over the bowl and take your newly made ganache and pour it right into the screen.
Okay, I've come in more.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is to stir very gently with the spatula on the screen. And you notice it's starting to drip out. Now, why I'm doing this is that all chocolates have milk solids in them. And the solids will create bumps. The finer the chocolate, the less the solids. But if you're using a more inexpensive chocolate, you might really want to do this because it takes out a lot of the crud that's in chocolate. Now this is a bittersweet or almost semi-sweet. I don't recommend using a milk chocolate unless you're mixing it, like 50-50 bittersweet, 50 of milk, because milk chocolate, the flavor, number one, is made up with a lot of milk in it, and as its name implies, and number two, it's a flavor that gets easily overwhelmed, whereas the dark chocolate has a lot more chocolate liqueur, it's called, not alcoholic, but chocolate liqueur, and it keeps its flavor and snap. Now we're coming down to the bottom here, and you just scrape the chocolate back and forth over the screen, and you'll notice it looks like crud on the screen, and that's basically what it is. It's milk solids and imperfections, which you really don't want in your finished ganache. You don't really need this procedure if you're using with a much, really fine chocolate. But as I said, if you're using a little less expensive chocolate, which is just fine, do this and you'll be guaranteed a nice smooth ganache. And don't forget the bottom of it. Scrape off and let it go right in the bowl. And then we put that on the sink. And now you have your ganache. Now, leave this out on the counter for a little bit. 15-20 minutes, let it cool down. Then you can put it in your fridge. And it's going to start to thicken up. Excuse me. To a lot of people, ganache is a mystical thing. And they're terrified of it. There's no need to be. Get some chocolate, get some butter, and get some milk. And play with it one afternoon. If you ruin it, you ruin it. Big deal. Learn what you can do with it. You can substitute the chocolates. You can put a mix of different chocolates in. You can change the attributes of the ganache by changing the amount of milk or cream versus chocolate. Less liquid, more chocolate, thicker product. Vice versa, thinner product. When you have a finished ganache, you can do 100 different things with it. You can use it as is, thin it once it's cooled down, it'll get thicker. You can warm it up slowly, real slowly, in the microwave or in a double boiler, and thin it out gently. And you can pour it over a nice cold cake, and it'll form this beautiful hard glaze over the cake. You can add a little bit of light corn syrup to it, gives it a really good shine. You can whip it up and make a frosting out of it. You can add whipped cream to it after you've whipped it up and fold the whipped cream into it, and you have almost a nice chocolate mousse. You can do 100 different things. When it's thickened out, you can use it as a filling for a cake. You can use it as icing. You can use it as a glazed topping. Ganache is one of the most versatile things to do in the kitchen. And if you have guests over, it's one of the fastest things you can make up for dessert as a topping on ice cream, cakes, whatever, or to dipping chocolates in, strawberries in, or eclairs. and people will think you slaved over the stove for hours, or that you have this magical recipe. That about does it. Watch for our next video. We're going to be getting into some heavier duty stuff. And as always, bon appetit.